Hello, YouTube fans. This is TheSkullKlown. I won't be here for that long. I just because I'm watching YouTube videos and stuff, and it just caught my attention, especially the video that I made not that long ago about Square Enix. That when you look at the Final Fantasy stuff, Square Enix has been fumbling it. Um, for me, at least for me, I know a lot of people might think that Final Fantasy stumbled after three because there's people out there that are like that. People literally are there. Yes, believe it or not, there are all people out there that like Final Fantasy 1 and 3, and they think from 4 to 6 is just they just don't care because the ATB system basically. That's all it take. That's all it took for them to be like, fuck it, I don't care. Um, I mean, I can't blame them because if there's a type of gameplay style that you don't like, most likely you're not gonna play the game, or buy it. And if even if you do play it, how long is that gonna keep you? Even if you dislike it, even if some people might be like, oh, be open up to it. But what if they don't want to because they just feel like it's just not even it's pointless basically. Because the ATB system is different from Parasite Eve. It's called AT, um, because you're not because you can move around and then the ball goes up and then you can attack and stuff like that. Which I still think to this day is one of the best gameplay styles in any action RPG. And I still think to this day that that should make a comeback. And I don't know why Square Enix hasn't embraced it. You want to make Final Fantasy action RPG? Okay, then use the Parasite Eve gameplay and just adapt it more better and refine it more better like you do in the Dragon Quest games. That's the thing. That's what I want to talk about because when you look at the Final Fantasy games and you're over here like, what the fuck is wrong with you, Square? But then you look at the Dragon Quest games. People say that hey, the merge of Enix and Square, that's when it went downhill. You guys forget to mention. A lot of people don't mention this. Enix didn't want to merge with Square in the beginning because they were losing money and they were like, no, we're not tying with you financially and stuff like that. NX knew. NX knew. All right. That's why Square went to them and be like, let's merge. And NX is like, are you high? But you forget that. That's what I'm saying, man. You guys, there's a lot of freaking people out here that talk about Final Fantasy and forget about the most important details. I hate Square Enix, but SquareSoft is great. Yeah, how do you think how NX feels? You never asked that question. Did you remember that NX didn't want to join with Square anyways because of the financial shit that happened, and then they didn't join them until Kingdom Hearts was successful for them? Yes. Do you guys forget about that? It took to Kingdom Hearts 1 for NX to be like, all right, let's merge. That's a long time from Spirits Within to Kingdom Hearts 1. You know, I don't care if it was like a year or 2 years. That shit's still a lot. That's months of not doing shit or months literally wondering what the fuck you're going to do with your company because you're losing money and you have nothing. You know, this has been happening to Square Enix for a while, man, because they don't adapt. They don't adapt. When they do try to adapt, that's the thing. There's games out here like Final Fantasy 13, which I enjoy. I don't get the hate. I understand the flaws, but I don't get the hate. Do you understand what I'm talking about? I get the flaws, but I don't get the hate. It's like too overblown, basically. It's the same thing with Final Fantasy 2. And then when you play these games, I'm over here like, you guys need a break. You know what you need? You need a break of life. Spend some outside with nature or something like that. Because there's no reason for you to be pissed off at these two games the way you guys are acting on the internet. I'm dead serious. I'm calling you all out, all of you people. I don't care. Seriously. If you're that upset with Final Fantasy 13 and fucking 2, then go outside and touch grass. I am dead serious. I know most people be like, well, that's not the solution. These are companies, guys. Of course they're gonna do stupid shit and fuck up eventually when they keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Look at Disney. Come on, guys. Stop acting like this is not fucking that this is new. You know? It's ridiculous. To me, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, in my opinion. When people that are older than me cannot fucking get this shit. I'm freaking 32 years old, and I can get this shit, but there's other people out here that are older than me on YouTube that can't get this shit at all. Oh, I never thought about it. Why? Well, that makes no sense to me. If I thought about it, most likely other people have, you know? You know? You know? It's so ridiculous. So going back to the whole thing with Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest, when the creator of Final Fantasy left, you started seeing Final Fantasy dropping a bit and all that stuff. Hey, even before when Final Fantasy 13 came out, I remember when I first saw Final Fantasy 10 too. Me and my friend looked at each other like, "What the fuck is this crap?" I'm dead serious. I'm dead serious because we were fans of Final Fantasy 10, and when we saw how 10-2 was when you presented to us the first time, I'm over here like, okay, that's fine. You want to get the female crowd of Final Fantasy? That's fine. I mean, go ahead. I mean, why not? Have you seen the female roster in all the Final Fantasy games? Like, it's like, you know, of course you would capitalize on something. At least one of the games like that. At least in my opinion. That's why. Have you ever heard of Death Fantasy? Is that what it's called? I think it's called that. It has everyone from Dead and Alive and Final Fantasy, all the female characters, like working together and fighting together. Have you seen those clips on YouTube? They're old as shit, man. They're old as shit. They're old. They're from like the beginning of the YouTube days, man. Seriously. And when I saw that shit, I remember when I first saw that shit, I thought it was real. I thought I thought it was like, yo, they're doing it square, and the people that make Dead Alive are crossing over. That's pretty cool. I want to see that. Yeah. And then then you have Final Fantasy chicks and Dead Alive chicks like fighting each other and shit. Yeah. And then teaming up too. Yeah. I want that. I want that. That's the thing, man. Why are fans making stuff that we want to see, and these executives, these companies are like, nah, it's too risky. But we're asking you to make it. We want to see it. We will come to see it. No, too risky. No, you're telling me you're just lazy to not make this product, even though we're screaming on top of our lungs to make this product. Sound familiar from Square Enix? Go back to the roots of turn-based RPGs. Oh, here's a side game. Oh, here's another um um IP that has turn-based. We're talking about mainline Final Fantasy, huh? What? Huh? That's how you piss a lot of people off, man. You know? And then you have Dragon Quest. When people say that the merger of Square and Enix ruined a lot of things with Final Fantasy, look at the Dragon Quest side. Did it ruin it? To be quite honest, when you look back at it, it actually helped it. When Final Fantasy was getting shit on, Dragon Quest was like getting these remakes, doing a nice little things for the fans, and then people just kept loving them and loving them and loving them and loving them until the flaws started happening with Dragon Quest 1, 2, and 3 HD 2D. That's just me. Every time I see that trailer, every time I see it, even when I first saw it, I'm over here like, Square, this is Dragon Quest. You remaking Dragon Quest 3. 3. 3. The most famous game in Japan of all time. And you don't want to literally give the Final Fantasy VII remake / rebirth treatment. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. You mean to tell me you can't do that, that you don't want to do that? You mean to tell me you don't have the capability or the capacity to do that? Why you want to do it with Final Fantasy VII only, and your other side shit you don't want to do? This is why people are making fun of you, of saying that when you remake Final Fantasy IX, it's going to be freaking pixelated. I'm sorry to repeat that. I said it in one video, and I said it here. I don't have to say it again, but it's ridiculous at this point. When Dragon Quest was doing good and refining its stuff from the DS, and then some of them came out later on. Well, some of them the new then the later ones came out, obviously, because I'm thinking DS and all that, and I'm thinking it's on the PlayStation, and I'm like, no, that happened later. Until we got Dragon Quest 11 and shit. Was there any other Dragon Quest game on the PlayStation? Not just Dragon Quest 8 and 7. Yeah, I think that's it, right? There was other side ones, I think, for the PS1, but I think they only came out in Japan, right? But moving on. While the Dragon Quest fans were eating good for a moment, the Final Fantasy fans, some of them were going through it just fine, but eventually, like me, it broke the camera's back because this company kept having a repeating pattern to the point it's like you're not even like, what's wrong with you? And the thing is, there's some good games that they have released when they're in these type of states. If you notice, remember some side Final Fantasy games like Ring of Faith, Final Fantasy IV Heroes of Light. Some of these Final Fantasy games that I mentioned, the side ones, could have been mainline series because they were that good. But Square didn't see it that way because it doesn't have the fucking graphics that you see in 13, 16, 15, and fucking freaking Final Fantasy VII Remake / Rebirth. That's why I mentioned in my other video, why is it so hard for Square Enix to literally remake Final Fantasy 1 and 3 from the ground up with 3D, with the graphics that we have today? And then that will hype fans up and be like, oh my god, they're actually doing this. Can't wait for Final Fantasy 4 through 6. And then they do that. And then people will lose their shit. Imagining that, oh my god, that this like like us fighting Kefka in a 3D environment, basically. And it's not even freaking action based, it's turn based, Like, come on, like, that's why I point out, saying that if you guys think you don't want a full-fledged 3D now graphics of Dragon Quest games and Final Fantasy games, and you tell me you don't want that, then you're not a fucking fan. You're not a fan, man. You're not a fan. Don't tell me, oh, Final Fantasy 1 should not be a high quality HD like Final Fantasy 7. Why? Because you hate that game? Every Final Fantasy game deserves that freaking HD treatment graphics that we have today. How great would it have been if we had Final Fantasy Tactics like that? Oh, it's great for Tactics. It's great for 7. But anything else? Fuck you? No, fuck off. This is why the fan base is the way it is. And that's why I stay away from this fan base, man. I'm not saying I'm above you or anything like that. I just look at it as, like, when you get out of the bubble and you look at it, you're over here like, touch some grass. Talk to a woman. Like, sleep with something, basically. Oh. But the Dragon Quest stuff has been good from Square. Until, like I said, until that fucking HD 2D of Dragon Quest 1, 2, and 3. I don't care if you put new job classes in. I don't care if you put a new character in. Who cares? I don't care. I don't care. I just don't give a shit. And I hope the Japanese Dragon Quest fans, please, I hope they see this. I'm not talking about my video. I'm talking about, I hope they see what I'm seeing. That Square is now using Dragon Quest to milk the shit out of it. Instead of just being like, hey, we're doing this out of love, out of passion. Really? If you did, then Dragon Quest 3 would have the same graphics as freaking Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth. You put your effort into that crap, but you don't want to put effort into this. And you're going to give the Octopath Travelers fucking treatment, graphic-wise. And I don't even hate that style. It's just that when you use it to the point that fans expect that maybe a different style, and you keep using that style, everyone's going to look at you and be like, this is all you have. This is the only imagination that you have, huh? If it's not like something like Final Fantasy VII, who gives a shit? Everything's Pixar, and fans are making fun of you about it. Dragon Quest, the mainline Dragon Quest games and the mainline Final Fantasy games do not deserve that treatment. They don't. Maybe I'm crazy, right? Maybe I am crazy. Maybe they do deserve a crap treatment just because it's not Final Fantasy VII. 6 is not Final Fantasy VII, so automatically I hate it. You know? Should be people forget about this too. You do realize Final Fantasy VII is not what the original Final Fantasy VII is not what we got. Final Fantasy VII broke up into probably 5 games. If you know what those 5 games are, you deserve an RPG cookie and you know your history. If you don't know, let me remind you. Chrono Trigger, Parasite Eve, Final Fantasy VIII. I think that's it. What else is there? I could say Final Fantasy IX, but I don't think it's even in that boat. Because Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy VIII, and Parasite Eve. 1, 2, 3, 4. These 4 games are basically one. Because Chrono Trigger was going to be like what Parasite Eve was. And basically, and Chrono Trigger was going to be what Final Fantasy VII is. Basically, with all the mixture of what you see in Chrono Trigger and in Parasite Eve. But then they separate those aspects to make literally 4 games. 4 games. You know how amazing that is? Do we even get that shit nowadays? You know? So without Chrono Trigger, of it originally being something like originally was going to be Final Fantasy VII, then they had so many ideas that you see from Parasite Eve, Final Fantasy VIII, and then obviously Final Fantasy VII. Because you can't tell me you cannot tell me if you play Parasite Eve and you played Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy VIII, and you play Parasite Eve, you mean to tell me you play that game and you didn't look at these other games and you were like, oh shit. Even playing these games, you know they're all they're connected to each other. They're basically brothers and sisters. They're related to each other. And I don't know why when people suck the dick of Final Fantasy VII, because look, I don't hate Final Fantasy VII. I think it's a good game, but I don't think it's a masterpiece. I don't think it is a masterpiece, to be quite honest with you. The only one that is a masterpiece is Final Fantasy VI. I'm sorry, guys. Final Fantasy VI is the only masterpiece of Final Fantasy. Are you kidding me? Don't debate me on that. I'm not saying I would die on that hill on it, but I'm saying, literally, guys, that game. It doesn't have to be your favorite Final Fantasy, and that is fine. Hell, it's not even my favorite Final Fantasy. That goes to 9. But if you tell me what is the definitive Final Fantasy, that is 6. That is 6. Final Fantasy 3, that was here in America, but it's actually 6, is the top tier of Final Fantasy. So when I play Final Fantasy 6 before Final Fantasy 7, and I play Final Fantasy 7, and I hear everyone praising it to the moon, I'm over here like, huh? I don't know why. And look, this is a person that was obsessed with Final Fantasy VII. Let me tell you that. I was obsessed with Final Fantasy VII. I was that Final Fantasy VII kid. But I didn't know better. I didn't know better. I didn't know some of the shit that Square was doing. And I didn't know some of the shit that the history behind Final Fantasy VII. You know? And it's such a passion that the creator of Final Fantasy VII made this game because his mother died, basically. And when you look at Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Remake, and they don't do shit like that, they basically look at that and spit at it, it pisses people off. Again, it pisses me off. And it's not even my favorite freaking Final Fantasy game of all time. It's not even my... How many Final Fantasy games we have? Actually, a lot if you count the side ones. Yeah, it's not even in my top 10. I'm dead serious. Final Fantasy VII is not in my top 10 Final Fantasy games. It's not. Especially over the years. Sorry, it's just not. It's just not. Top 20, yes. Top 15, fuck no. Top 20 or 30, yes. Seriously. That's just me, man. That's just me. Because when you look at this game and people praise it because people be like, you don't understand, this changed everything for RPGs and everything. And I hear the same story with Final Fantasy 1 when Final Fantasy 1 came out. But the only difference is it wasn't as big as it was with Final Fantasy 7. But the reason people looked at Final Fantasy 7 is because it wasn't the graphics that it was back previously. Let's just admit that. You saw what the graphics looked like, obviously, because it was in modern hardware, so they took advantage of it, of course. But that game sold so much. How many people never played a fucking RPG to begin with, then saw that, or heard about Final Fantasy, didn't give a shit about it, then when they saw Final Fantasy VII, they instantly went into it. That's no different what you see today. Oh, don't give me that fucking pixel shit. I want that 3D shit. This is not new. It's old. It's been around in gaming forever. And sadly, it hasn't fucking died. You know? I remember when there was a time in gaming, well, it didn't matter. That's what the game is. If you don't like it, that's fine. But that's what the game is. It's programmed. You move the fuck on, and you moved on to another game. If you liked it, you liked it. If you didn't, you moved on to another game. What a stupid concept. What a concept. What a concept. And look, there's people out there that will literally force themselves to play a game that they probably don't like or think that it could go south, or maybe we'll get some highlights later. Life is too short for that, man. Life is too short for that, man. It really is. It's too short. You know, it's like watching a movie, man. You don't want to spend, or it's like reading a book, or watching a movie, or playing a game. Like I said, you have you're here to have a good time, get through the characters, not as fast as possible, but like enjoy the world and stuff like that, right? And then when they like don't want you to, like in any type of media, and you only hear like, let me enjoy the reading, let me enjoy let me enjoy the gameplay, let me enjoy the fucking shitness of the movie, or the greatness of this movie, the craziness of this movie, basically. And then when the product doesn't want to do that, even though it should know what it is, you always hear like, why should I even care? At least Final Fantasy 13 knows what it is. Rebirth and Remake are like, it doesn't know what it wants. It doesn't know what it wants. Right? And then you see Dragon Quest just fine. And then Square is over here being like, oh, hold my beer. And people complain that we haven't heard anything about Dragon Quest 12. I think Dragon Quest 12 is going to be an online service. I could be wrong, but they haven't said anything about that game. And at first I'm like, give it time. Now, it's almost the end of 2025. I'm sorry, we're in August right now. September, October, November, December. Guys, we got 4 more months out of the year. There's nothing. There's nothing. There's not even nothing for Kingdom Hearts 4. Is this what this company's doing? Of like, hey, we're gonna take 3 years to reset, and while they're resetting, they literally just shut down production of them making their games. I hope not, because I don't think anyone in the higher ups of that company will like to see their money just if they just stop fucking working on making games. You know? Hell, even people are talking even people are concerned with Final Fantasy Tactics. You know? You don't have all the stuff that you see on the PSP, which throws a lot of people off. It's the same thing with the Pixel remasters. You didn't put the stuff that was on the PSP or the Game Boys, the extra stuff. And it's like, why? It's because they don't care. They don't care, guys, because that's extra work. Seriously, that's extra work. And they don't want to do that. They don't want to do that. They want to rush this shit as fast as possible and make as much money as possible. We talked about this with this company before. So I got nothing with Dragon Quest. Dragon Quest has been doing good until up to now. Dragon Quest 11 was fucking amazing. If you never played Dragon Quest 11, you should. If you played Super Nintendo games, you owe it to yourself to play this game. And that was way before they put that you could switch to a Pixar version of you to play it, which was on the 3DS version in Japan, basically. Because in the 3DS version of Dragon Quest 11, you had your 3D character appear, but in the map it showed you the 2D spray, basically, which was really cool. I thought that was really fucking cool. Sadly, Dragon Quest 11 on the 3DS never came out in America. But to be quite honest, people forget about that. There's a version of that, and I want to get that version. I just want to get it. It has the same graphics that you see in Dragon Quest 7, I believe, and I think it plays the same way too. I believe, except for like the stuff that you see in Dragon Quest 11, that makes it stand out, obviously. But I still would like to play that game. I probably could download it on my DS if I can. Yeah, you know, because I have it hacked anyways. Moving on. That's really it, guys. The reason I mentioned with the Dragon Quest stuff is because if Square Enix is willing to literally give Dragon Quest the Final Fantasy treatment of destroying a legacy, you thought the fan base for Final Fantasy will be upset? Huh. Huh. I've told Square this. You do not want to fuck up Dragon Quest. These are people that even one little slight of thing they get upset about. I'm even looking at the art style, and there's even people pointing out that's not freaking Atari Koyama's design. And when I look at the sprites, they don't. When I'm looking at it, I'm like, who made these sprites? Who made them? I'm playing, what is it, Sandland? And that looks like more of his art style than what you see in freaking Dragon Quest HD 2D. And that is a problem. And most people be like, oh, but the monsters look like that. Yeah, but that shouldn't be a problem with the fucking main characters that you pick, bro. You don't see the fucking problem, man. But apparently you want, it's the same thing when people are like, oh, if Dragon Quest is action RPG, then I'll get into it. Yeah, and then Expedition 33 comes out, and you're over here not saying shit. Shut up. Shut up. Seriously, shut up. Seriously. Because a Dragon Quest fan will heal you and be like, screw you, bitch. Because Dragon Quest 9 almost became an action RPG, and people were like, no, you do not change it. You know? You do not change it. And guess what? Square did listen to the fans because they know they wouldn't get their money. They probably didn't care if it was in America though, but they care because the most famous thing in America and in Japan is Dragon Quest, not Final Fantasy. Dragon Quest is getting more popular here now though, which is a good thing. And that's why I'm so upset that Square is willing now to fucking kill it. It was like, oh, we got Dragon Quest 11. People liking it. Now we're getting more recognition on Dragon Quest 11. All right, let's screw that up. I feel like they're doing that, man. Look, I could be gone, but I don't trust this company, man. I don't trust this company. I do not trust this company, and you shouldn't either. You shouldn't either. All right, this company hasn't showed us anything for us to trust them anymore. Okay, so that's really it, guys. Yeah, that's really it. I do want to say this. Where the fuck is my Parasite Eve remake? Remaster, actually, like you did with Final Fantasy 7 and 8 for the PlayStation 1. Like, where's that? You know? Oh, we lost the resources and stuff like that. And I'm over here like, sounds like you never cared to begin with these resources. Sounds like Nintendo. What are you talking about? You want to play that game now? That game is from the 80s. You can't play that now. We refuse for you to play that game now. You should play the new stuff that we want you to play. Here, pay this $80 game in this fucking $500 system instead of you playing a game that should be freaking for free. But whatever, man. Whatever. Um, that's all I have with it. That's how I feel with the Final Fantasy stuff and the Dragon Quest stuff. Dragon Quest was fine till now, because now you're seeing like what the fuck is happening, and then Final Fantasy has been like this since literally the creator left. Right? And now Square Enix is a company, man. People don't see this company being around in a year or 2 years. People have lost faith. People have lost everything from this company. I don't know how the Japanese fans feel, but the Americans, at least for me, how I feel about it, I don't even want to see the title Square Enix anywhere. Anywhere anymore. It's the same thing how I feel with the Rockstar logo. If I see that logo, I'm going to freaking burn it to the ground. Because that logo represents everything that is corporate of what is gaming right now. Seriously. Whatever. And then you're curious, you're freaking, was it, dick suckers. They'll be like, I can't wait for Grand Theft Auto 6. Meanwhile, there's probably barely going to be any story, and they're going to focus all their resources online, and you're going to have to start over with your character and that transition with your character that you have with that. Hey, even if they did do it, they probably would still screw you over with it. You know? They'd be like, yeah. By the way, you level all the way back to level 1. What, you thought you were going to be here in 999 levels? In freaking GTA 6? Bitch, please. You started all over. Especially the cars. You know, the cars that you bought? Yeah, that's for GTA 5, but you can't bring that in GTA 6. I know, man. Pay up, motherfucker. You don't think they're not going to do that? Of course they're going to do that. Of course they are. If you don't see that, then I don't. You don't see the writing on the wall with fucking Rockstar. Then you're blinded. You're blinded as fuck. Either you're blinded by nostalgia, or you're blinded by this company that like shaped you in a way, which is kind of disturbing. Instead of inspiration, you shape. And I'm over here like, what do you mean shape you in a way? What did the company freaking groom you like Diddy? You know? That's it, guys. I'm done. I'm done. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, guys. If you're new, hey, thanks for coming, watching my video about this company and about how I feel with the Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy. You know, um, these like the fact that Square is just it's like Nintendo. Nintendo and Square Enix are willing to literally destroy their own legacy. And it's very fascinating to see this, to be quite honest with you, in real time. It is. It's very fascinating to see. If you didn't care about this shit and you just looked at the companies alone as a business person, you'd be sitting back being like, I'm just waiting until they fall so I can pick that shit back up. Because it's only a matter of time. When these companies fall, other companies will buy them out. It's only a matter of time. And people might laugh at it and be like, yeah, whatever. You'd be surprised what happens overnight. Are you kidding me? Do you know what type of world we live in? I'm not going to talk about that shit spiritually in enlightenment. Because if I did, we'd be here all day. All right? It's already 36 minutes. So I'm out. Peace, guys. And tell me what you guys think about this video. What you thought about this video. Tell me what you guys think if if you disagree with me or agree with me with the whole Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest stuff. Even with Final Fantasy 7. I know a lot of people might be like, "You, how dare you think Final Fantasy 7 is not top 10 or 20 of the best games of all time?" I just don't think it is. Good characters, good soundtrack. Love the world. Love the whole like you being a rebel, fighting the fucking government and shit like that. I love that shit. That's why people love that. I think that's why people love this game to death because it's a rebel game. It's a rebel game, and people love rebels. All right, seriously, because ever since the '90s, people think that the whole rebel stuff died off or was going to stop in the '90s. No, it just kept increasing, 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 and business people realized it. And at first they embraced it because it's like, yeah, because they felt a little edgy too because they were doing edgy shit, and we loved it and we embraced it. But now everything's so squeaky clean and business up the ass to not offend anybody to the point that it's like it's boring. It sucks. I don't want to watch your product. You suck. This is why shows like Twisted Metal are thriving because it doesn't give a shit. If you don't like it, tough shit, basically. That's what the video games stand for. And yes, the video games is not for everybody, but the game is going to be like tough shit. That's how video games were back in the day. And I miss that shit nowadays with video games. That's what Expedition 33 is. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. If you don't like it, tough shit. You know? It's as simple as that, man. It's not that hard. Make games that you want to see out there or what you want to play. That's why I did. That's one of the reasons why I made my game on the RPG Maker Fez. Yeah, it's a prototype, but I made it to the point that I want to see a game out there that like has these different types of like I could take these type of styles and put them together and make like a Frankenstein hybrid of what I like to see in games, And some people, when they see my game, they're gonna think that, oh, I don't think this will work. You got this. You guys can leave if you want. This is for the people that want to know more about my game. You guys can leave if you want. This video is already done, but this is my video game now. Like I have 3 different gameplay styles in my game. One is you have a Pokemon forest, basically, and there's a number on the grass field, and that number indicates how many enemies you will encounter as waves, kind of like traditional RPGs that you see in Fantasy Star or Wizardry, when you're in a dungeon and it shows a character, but it shows a number of how many of those villains are there, but it just shows a sprite of that one character basically. So how it did it in RPG Maker Fez is that you defeat one enemy, then eventually go to the other one. Obviously it gets out of battle, then shows your character, and then goes, basically starts to the battle again. So because it didn't did that back in the day, obviously, but I did it here, even though it just happens to be that way, basically. Um, you know, if I made it in a different tool engine and stuff like that, I most likely would have been changed. So another gameplay style that I picked is a car combat, and the car combat is basically a reference to Twisted Metal, and you can use it on the battlefield, on the grass field, and you can use it on the other um the third gameplay side, which I will mention in a minute. But that vehicle, it's called the Lucky Dragon, which is a reference to the Hiroshima bombing, basically, of like Godzilla and stuff like that. So I paid homage to that. If you know the name Lucky Dragon and you know it in history, but also in Godzilla history, you deserve a fucking kaiju cookie. It makes sense because in my game you're a Titan, you're a big giant Titan destroying these enemies. It's basically like a kaiju video game. It's a kaiju monster game. And yes, and the best thing is, it wasn't like that at the beginning. It was just, regular people until I changed one little dialogue with one of the NPCs, and now they're just Titans. And the reason I did that is because of Final Fantasy 16. Not because I like 16, it's because I saw 16 and I'm over here like, you want to do kaiju battles? You got me fucking pissed off, you son of a... No, I'm doing it in my game, and I'm going to do it 10 times better. I got Godzilla, I got Mothra, I got freaking King Kong, I got freaking Ultraman in my game. What did you got? You got nothing. And yes, they're parodies. They're parodies, like I call them Titanzilla, Titan Khan, Titan Ultra, Titan Moth. So I call them that. So they're parodies of them. So I mean, I have characters that are parody of Donald, Goofy, and Mickey. So there's that, which I think you guys are going to enjoy once you see my game. So the third gameplay style is an inspiration from Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, the Jafar fight. Most people are like, what are you talking about? Now, in my game, there's platforms, three skyscraper platforms, and there's ladders that you can climb up and all that. You can even go around on the field because it's top down, obviously. So the platforms don't move up and down or anything like that. They just stay the way they are. And the death bubble, it's the death bubble mechanic. It follows you. The death bubble just moves around randomly. Some might go fast, other ones might move slow or normal. And that's basically Iago with the magic lamp going around, and you have to hit it. That's Sora, basically. So in my game, you have to go to the death bubble to start the boss battle. Because if you go straight to the boss is going to keep hitting you and hitting you until your life is gone, basically, or just completely kill you, basically. So that's the inspiration from that. And that type of gameplay style I've been having since I was probably 17 or 16 years old. Because I was thinking so much of like, hey, what type of gameplay I want to do, what type of style of gameplay I wanted to do. I thought of like, yes, it could, because originally it's going to be like that action-based style, but I couldn't figure out how to do it. So I went back to the route of turn-based, and it worked really well because now you have all three game styles, but they still turn-based. So it's like, all right, that's fine, you know. And the platforms all for show, basically, but it's still cool to just have it as a visual, obviously. And since it literally an homage to Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, the Jafar fight, I just thought it was really, really cool. And I liked it. I did. I liked it. It's I don't know. I just like it. And yes, there's and most likely what is it in the game? The bosses have them, not random enemies and all that, which was going to be a thing. But then you would have had a whole bunch of platforms with numbers of of you trying to fight monsters and stuff like that. So it's like I probably would put the numbers on top of the platforms, obviously the skyscraper platforms. But maybe if I get feedback and people be like, no, do that. I would love to see that adaptation to see how it will actually feel like and be. So I might just do that in the future then. If people like that Pokemon aspect that I did, but you still, because with the random battles in my game, it's not really random battles. It's what it is that there's a number that you see on the screen, like I said, yeah, that you see. There's a number that says like number 2 or 5 or something like that, and that's how many waves of enemies you need to fight, basically. But once you beat it, because you see a whole bunch of numbers that you need to that you'd be like, okay, that's in the counter rate that says 3, that's in the counter rate that says 4. If I go there, I will hit an encounter that has 4 waves or 3 waves, you know. But after you're done with that type of wave, all of them shut down basically. So, and you always hear like, oh wait, I want to fight those. Why did they all disappear? So you just move around again on the map, and then what is it? It loads. Technically, yes, it loads. But I like to think of it like it does the wait mode, like the ATB thing, and then it shows the numbers that now you can fight the enemies again, basically. Because I wanted to do the Kingdom Hearts route of like, hey, you defeated an enemy on screen, and now you can't fight them. You leave the screen, they come back, and then they come back, basically. I wanted to do that, but I couldn't figure out how to do it. So this was the alternative that I did. And you know what? It's not that bad. Really, and also because it gives the player the choice not to, because you know how some people don't like random battles? This is another alternative. It's still random battles. The only difference is that it's showing you a number of how many enemies you need to fight, but it also gives you incentive of like, okay, that's the enemy, and how many, it gives the player of like, oh, do I want to fight a wave of enemies that are 5 or 3 or 2, you know? So it gives the player to be like, oh, okay, I can actually do this instead of that, you know? That way the player's not overwhelmed of the random battles and stuff, basically. And plus, the random encounter rate originally was not going to be that high. It was high in the beginning when I was making my game. Trust me, it was high to the encounter rate was so high in my game to the point that I was just like, I can barely play my game. I'm getting sick of it right now. This is bullshit. So I had to change it. I had to change it. If I thought it was bullshit, I had to change it. So, um, so I changed it to the point that I gave the player a choice to um engage in battle, which I still did at the end of the day. And then when the numbers disappear, just go around the map again. I know I'm repeating myself again, but I like to emphasize it sometimes because I just think it's really cool how I did that. It's like, oh, there's a number of waves of enemies you need to do. You go there, you engage with it. Then when the numbers are gone all over the screen, you're like, wait a minute, I want to fight more. You're like, what happened with the round of battles? I can't fight anymore. Or maybe I go to another screen and come back. No, I can't do that. Wait a minute, what's going on? Or maybe if I go on the world map and fuck around a bit. Oh, wait, load, a wait moment, and then boom, they pop, and you're like, oh, okay. So I wonder if any video game has done that before. You know, let me know, viewers. Let me know for the people that are watching more of my videos about my gameplay for my video game. So thank you for listening. Thank you for listening. Is there anything else? Because this went like almost 50 minutes and originally was never supposed to be that time. So I guess that's it. That's it. I'll see you guys later. I'll see you guys later. So that's a little bit of my gameplay, my game, my 3 gameplay styles that I mentioned. I hope you guys do enjoy those concepts that I have, and I hope you see the execution really well because I'm playing through the game, and every time I'm going through it, I've to be honest, I like it. You know, I really enjoy it. That's just me. That is just me. So I'll see you guys later. And it's something that I always wanted to see, like, because there's not a lot of RPG games that have 3 gameplay styles, you know? Like, how many RPG games would say that they have random encounters that have numbers of waves that you can interact with anytime you want? You don't have to do it, basically, if you don't want to, with more waves. And then you have a car combat that you can interact with those waves, and also a car that you can interact with um 3 skyscraper death bubble battle, you know? So it's like, you know, so it's like you're looking at the car combat and you'll be like, holy shit, you know? You know. Oh, and also with the car, it levels up fast. It's supposed to be a beginner's mode type of thing, basically. Um it's funny too because when the characters level up, they level up a little bit slow. And I put like 2 speeds of the car leveling up fast, and it still was kind of slow. And I'm over here like, huh, okay, so I'll just speed it up all the way. So there's that. And it was fine. And it's exactly what I wanted, you know, since it is for beginners, but the car is not that strong. It's like any other character in the game. You need to level it up so it can get stronger and stronger and stronger. So there's that. I'll see you guys later. So yeah, I just wanted to mention more about the details of stuff that in my game that I forgot to mention, just in case. Is there anything else I probably forgot to mention? No, I think yeah, the three gameplay styles are good. Yeah, yeah, they're good. I also changed the chests. You know the treasure chests. I changed all of that to them being light bulbs because of Expedition 33. Yeah, when I was playing through the game and I'm seeing these freaking these light bulbs, these what is it? What's it called? These chandeliers everywhere. I'm over here like. So thank you Expedition 33 for me to be like every time I see those chandeliers, I'm over here like every time I see that light, I'm over here like, wouldn't it be cool if that's actually a chest? And I did it. So, I'll see you guys and be safe.